Welcome to Good for Bitcoin, a weekly show recorded live every Friday where we recap the top events of the week and talk about everything that is good for Bitcoin. If it's built on Bitcoin, then it's good for Bitcoin. Let's get started.
Content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, or company. We encourage you to conduct your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Good for Bitcoin. My name is Brandon, social media manager here at Trust Machines. Kate is off celebrating her birthday, but today we have Jayson joining us. Jayson, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Not the same, but different. Happy to be here, though.
Same, but different. Different, same.
Something like that.
Yeah, lots to get into. We got some Trust Machines news. We got a lot of legislative news this week to get into. Some good stuff, some bad stuff, but we're gonna get into it. I guess just to start, how was your week? Feels like it's been a busy but kind of productive week overall.
Busy and productive, both from just like the Trust Machine stuff, everything we're working on kind of behind the scenes. We have a lot going on, building up to the road to Vegas. Speaking of Vegas, Bitcoin Vegas is a big thing for us, ecosystem-wide and for our team. So we've been really, really busy this week.
Yeah, lots of announcements coming out for Vegas of all these different side events and things. I'm trying to RSVP to as many as I can, and hopefully I'll be able to have enough time to attend all of them. There's so many. There's like a lot of overlapping things, and and then we're helping to put on some things of our own. So yeah, more news I guess to come there. But
honestly, Brandon,
lots of prep.
If anybody listens to this and has the playbook for events after going to so many of these over the years, you never get to everything you want to, and then you always seem to pick the wrong ones to go to when you finally get to something. I need someone to give me the 101 playbook on the secret way to hit everything you want in the 2 or 3 days you're there.
I think the biggest thing for me is you just can't spend the entire if an event is scheduled for 3 hours, just spend an hour there, and then you just have to bounce and go to the next thing if you want to really see all the different things that are happening. One thing that's a little bit nice too is there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's some events that are happening at the same venue. So I feel less inclined to go to multiple events if they're at the same venue. Okay, I went to this venue and I went to this thing, and now I feel like I don't need to go back to it. So that is allowing me to save a little bit of time, I guess, as well.
I will say, maybe this is alpha for all the event people out there, but I've been taking these sponsorship calls, talking to people who are building these great events, and a couple of them now have said they're trying more and more to bring side events in-house, not in-house for them to book them, but have the side events right on site. And I love that idea. The more of the side events you want to bring with little walking, sign me up.
Totally. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Well, at least for the past 2 years that I've been here, Stacks has put on these really big side events outside of the main conference. But this year, Stacks is actually sponsoring the main event and will be part of the main event. So I'm really excited for that. And yeah, I don't know how much has been revealed about that. Actually, I don't know.
Not enough.
Am I dropping alpha?
Not enough. A little bit of alpha. I think you're going to be on site, so there's some alpha there. I'm sure you're going to have some cool merch from us and our products. I know so because I've shipped it and helped prepare it. So that's alpha we can share. But yeah, Stacks is going to have a cool presence there from what I've heard. So stick around for more. I'm sure there'll be pictures and stuff online.
More to come. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I always try to focus on, especially just being on the social media side, is realizing that not everybody can attend in person and trying to find ways for people to, still feel like they participated in some way, or just, we're going to try to create some FOMO, but we're also going to, try to help, people not be feel like they're just missing out on everything at the same time. So hopefully we'll have a nice balance in a couple of weeks. But let's get into some news. We got some Trust Machines side, a few different announcements, which are pretty cool. Number one is DotLocker surpassing 20,000 domain names registered, which is amazing. I feel like it was not even that long ago that we were announcing 10,000. So we've already doubled that, and no sign of slowing down. And yeah, it's pretty amazing to see.
A lot of cool movement from the DotLocker team, the Orange Domains team too. I know it's been about a month and a half or so, but they talked about the launch of minting as a service, which is a very TLD focused, activation for them. That's something in the background they're working hard on, which is going to drive those numbers across not only .locker, but to other Bitcoin-backed domains, Bitcoin-backed digital identities, which is going to be great to see.
Yeah, so it won't be DotLocker won't be the only name that's going to be sort of Web 2 and Web 3. There's going to be more. Yeah, the Orange Domains team is already working with some folks to bring that across. So more to come there. I also hear that the digital asset rebate program is also nearing its first kind of partner announcement. For those that missed the announcement when we talked about that a few weeks ago, it basically is sort of like a rebate for claiming your Web3 name. An example would be, sign up for your DotLocker, and if you, set up a wallet and connect your wallet and claim your BNS name, you get like $5 of Bitcoin or $5 of like SBTC or something like that. So yeah, that's also nearing launching as well.
We don't often, Brandon, get to talk about like user-friendly experiences, and Web3 being better, in my opinion, than like the Web 2 or even Web 1. But I gotta say, like, if I get a rebate back in Bitcoin for my TLD, is so much nicer than going through the coupon codes, trying to, get $2 off my .com or .net in the past that I've done. It's so nice. I would take that any day of the year.
Absolutely. And it's just like, it's a great introduction to Bitcoin's price, right? Like you might see suddenly your $5 of Bitcoin turns into $6 of Bitcoin, turns into $7 of Bitcoin, maybe turns into $4 of Bitcoin, right? But like that's like a great way to begin learning about Bitcoin, is just owning a little bit and watching the price go up and down. And it just helps to kind of reinforce some of those concepts.
Everybody needs to get their DotLocker ahead of the summer and get some Bitcoin sent to it. I think that's what I'm hearing. Not financial advice, but good summer beach advice. Get that TLD.
Yeah, I mean, and we're at 100K Bitcoin, big milestone back again. We haven't seen 100K Bitcoin for a few months. So exciting that we're kind of over that hump. It seems everybody on social media is pretty excited about it. But retail still has not arrived yet, is the sort of the sentiment, I guess, overall. Like all the people that are still in the spaces. I was on a couple Twitter spaces this week. Everyone that's joining the spaces, I like recognize everybody that's in the spaces. So we're not getting like a bunch of new people coming in just yet, which is exciting because that means that, the price is probably not done going up. Yeah, I mean, retail doesn't seem like they've arrived yet.
This one reminds me, hitting 100 again, reminds me of when we went to 20 and then came right back down from it. And everybody was like, it's over. That was it. We hit the top, and then nobody bought the dip. Nobody bought the dip down. It feels like that again, where we knew it was going back up, but nobody really took advantage of it, or at least I didn't, and I'm conflating.
I remember that happening. I remember it, being at 20K. It went down to like, I think 4.5 was like the lowest, and I was like trying to tell like several of my friends like, buy, this is your opportunity, like. And, of course, they didn't listen. And now I get to rub it in their face. But yeah, you buy Bitcoin at the price you deserve, I guess. Granite also announced its new rewards epic this week. They kick off every Wednesday, so we'll be talking about this every week. Earn rates currently are at 46% APY, which is absolutely madness insane. And borrow rates are still really low at 4.72%. So great time to be a Granite user.
There's no better time to be early than these rates. It's insane.
Yeah. Lots of stuff to look forward to there. We're going to get into some of the SBTC news as well. That obviously impacts Granite quite a bit. Some more things going on in media as well. Rena was featured on the Bitcoin Rails podcast hosted by Isabel, Fox, and Duke. I listened to that yesterday, finally had some time, and it was really great, really great. And it's really cool to, for like Stacks as an ecosystem, also getting sort of some respect or at least some recognition for being really early in ordinals and, just being part of this sort of Bitcoin L2 revolution. Like Stacks almost started it in many senses. And then we saw this huge explosion of all these additional L2s, coming on board, trying to build on top of Bitcoin. And some have been more successful than others, but Stacks has really kind of held its ground and kind of pioneered a lot of it. One of the examples was also just talking about all the great infrastructure, right? We have like Leather and Xverse and Gamma and all these different, companies that are like, well known kind of in the ordinal space now they all started from being, on stacks. That extends to artists as well. There's so many artists that are like really prolific ordinals artists that started on stacks, and we're doing a lot of stacks NFTs. So that the entire stacks community and ecosystem really jumped on ordinals, and it's just really cool to have that recognition.
Absolutely. It's such a big kudos to the Stacks community. And I think we talk a lot about people coming back to Bitcoin, people building on other chains coming back to Stacks and Bitcoin through Stacks. But we don't talk enough about the Stacks community that's grown up and is now, evangelizing out to other chains and stuff like that. I even think of like hardware wallets, like the Writer team and how they started in the Stacks eco, and they're broadening out and they're talking a bigger game to more people and bigger retail users. So kudos to the Stacks community who's stuck in there and like keeps building and keep growing, keeps expanding. Bitcoin for everybody.
Totally. On a similar note, yesterday we celebrated the 1-year anniversary of Leather Lounge. So congratulations to Sean for just being a great host and just always setting a really high bar of quality on that show. We had almost too many people to name that joined on the show yesterday. It was just a really nice kind of celebration of how far Leather Lounge has come, and especially as we get closer and closer to Leather Mobile, which is coming this month.
Knock on wood.
We have a lot
to
celebrate, a lot to be happy about. Listen, Mark said it, not me. It's coming. It's coming this month. Yeah, we're very excited. We always talk about it every show. Public companies buying Bitcoin. This week was no different. So Strategy acquired 1,895 BTC, which is kind of funny, a low amount for them, even though that's a crazy amount of $180 million worth of Bitcoin. They now hold 555,450 BTC. So they are almost at 555 BTC. We also have Semler Scientific. They acquired 167 Bitcoin for $16.2 million. They now hold 3,634 BTC. And Cooler has acquired 42 BTC and now holds 716. So public companies are just acquiring left and right. And this news came about. I don't know if you've ever been, they don't have this on the West Coast, I don't think, but Steak and Shake has also announced that they will be accepting Bitcoin payments at all locations starting on May 16th.
It's amazing. When I first got started in crypto, like when these things started happening with these broader, bigger commercial companies doing partnerships and everything, and then e-staking came around with the upgrade. This would have been, 2019, 2020? I pitched a wallet company at the time. I was like, you got to partner with Steak and Shake. You got to do like staking and shake. Has to be a thing. And they're like, Steak and Shake would never do something with crypto. This is the stupidest idea. So I saw this news go out and I was like, I knew it. Like, I was ahead of my time. Nostradamus.
You're so early.
Nostradamus of crypto marketing in my niche.
Yeah, it was funny that when they made the post, they also signed off the tweet with Steak Toshi. So whoever the intern is over there at Steak and Shake is Steak Toshi, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if there's a Steak and Shake in Vegas. I don't think there's any Steak and Shakes in California. Maybe there is, not in the Bay Area, certainly.
Certainly, I can't imagine. What would be the equivalent out there for you, Brandon, as far as like getting a burger joint or something into Bitcoin?
I mean, maybe In-N-Out would be like the closest equivalent. There's a couple burger joints out here. There's like a few I think that are kind of more worldwide. There's like what's Five Guys is like pretty widely across the U.S. and there's the Habit. You guys have the Habit out there?
No, that's a different one.
Habit, yeah. Counterculture, I think, is another one.
Five Guys could work. In-N-Out wouldn't work because we don't want people in and out of Bitcoin, right? We want them locked in. We want them holding and never selling. Five Guys, 5 Bitcoin. We could do that one. There's a couple. We got options. We'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
More fast food or fast casual, whatever you want to call it.
More fast casual, yeah.
Well, let's get into all these SBR bills. A lot of news this week with all these different strategic Bitcoin reserve bills. So first one is big deal. New Hampshire becomes the first state to pass a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So Governor Kelly Ayotte signed HB 302. New Hampshire becomes the first state to have a Bitcoin and digital assets reserve fund, a policy framework directly lifted from Satoshi Action Fund's strategic Bitcoin reserve model bill. So they had a big part in this bill as well. Basically what it does is it lets the treasurer buy Bitcoin and top tier digital assets. It authorizes reserve purchases of Bitcoin or any digital asset with a market cap above $500 billion. Today, that's just Bitcoin only. So basically, it's just a Bitcoin reserve bill right now. It caps holdings at 5% of the total state funds. So it ensures that Bitcoin, kind of complements the state's overall strategy, doesn't just like completely take it over. And it also mandates robust U.S. regulated custody. Assets must be held in state-controlled multisig with a qualified custodian or through ETFs to maximize security and transparency. And it's going to take effect 60 days after passage. So in 2 months, we will see presumably New Hampshire buying Bitcoin, which is amazing.
Exciting times. I think there is 5 or 6 currently, kind of different forms of process, different bills around the country.
There's 5 or 6 states that are like a little bit further along. There's a lot more states that have bills introduced, but they haven't really like made a lot of traction yet. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see the different strategies, because obviously they're not replicating each other like for like. So it's going to be interesting to see which ones have different buying strategies, which ones have different kind of like strategic reserve holding strategies, and what actually kind of, I don't know, shakes out as the way that people want to do business with it.
Totally. There's been some like parallels. I think like Satoshi Action Fund has kind of advised several states on these. So for the states that I think they've advised, there's been kind of some parallels of it being like around 5 to 10%, of their kind of overall budget, and having, certain things related to how they custody it and stuff like that. So there have been some similarities there. But let's get into Arizona, because there's been like some good stuff and some bad stuff with Arizona. So a few days ago, both SB 1025 and SB 1373 were passed by the House and the Senate. So both of those bills moved to Governor Katie Hobbs for either signing or vetoing or, doing whatever she wants with it. So SB 25 was the big one. And that one basically would have done similar to New Hampshire, would have allowed public funds in Arizona, specifically state treasurer, also retirement systems, to invest up to 10% of their available money in virtual currency, specifically focusing on Bitcoin. But Katie Hobbs, governor, actually vetoed that bill, even though it was passed by the House and the Senate. In her sort of veto, she noted that the Arizona state retirement system is one of the strongest in the nation because it makes sound and informed investments. Arizonans' retirement funds are not the place for the state to try untested investments like virtual currency. And of course, we need to pull up some of the facts. So I went through and I looked up, what is the performance of the Arizona state retirement system? What has their system, produced over, a 16-year period, and taking a look at that. So compared to like the S&P 500, also compared to Bitcoin, over this period, the Arizona state retirement system is up 50%. Meanwhile, S&P is up 93%. So they're not even beating the S&P. And then Bitcoin is up, of course, 886%. So what more testing do we need? Like that's it's pretty obvious.
Pretty solid proof points, Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. It's so interesting. I mean, I haven't heard much more on this. I don't know if you have more in the reporting, but if she's vetoed it, have we sent it back to the House or Senate to rewrite a kind of updated bill here?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, I feel like we've dunked on the governor enough because she did actually sign another bill. She signed SB 1373. So we lost one, we won one, I guess. I'm not sure what's going to happen with this bill, if it's going to get sort of redrafted or what. It just sounds like she's not very supportive of it overall, though. So I don't know if it's even worth doing potentially. But she did sign SB 1373. What this bill does basically is it updates Arizona's unclaimed property laws to account for digital assets. Basically, it establishes a clear process for identifying and handling unclaimed virtual property, checks the value of digital assets held by the state, and creates a reserve fund that may be used for future appropriations with legislative approval. So digital assets will be presumed abandoned if the rightful owner fails to respond to communications over a 3-year period. Once deemed abandoned, holders must deliver the digital assets to the Department of Revenue in their native form. This is curious because if something is abandoned, presumably they would still have the keys to those digital assets. And if they're not responding to requests, how are they going to respond to requests to like transfer them over? It's a little strange.
It's a little strange.
Maybe it's like more like applies to like if it's in like a Coinbase or in like a Fidelity account or something like that. Maybe then, I don't know, a little strange. But anyway, states qualified custodians are authorized to stake these assets to earn rewards or receive airdrops. So that's interesting. And any staking or rewards or airdropped assets will be deposited into the new Bitcoin and Digital Assets Reserve Fund administered by the state treasurer. So it's basically a budget neutral option. It means that they're not like going to be buying any Bitcoin or not buying any digital assets or anything like that. They're going to sort of be taking control of like any seized assets or any assets that are like deemed abandoned. I'm not sure like what this actually means in terms of like how much impact it's going to have, like how much Bitcoin in Arizona actually is abandoned and would qualify under this sort of rule. Like it's really hard to say. I mean, it's certainly like a somewhat of a step in the right direction, I guess.
Yeah, but you're right. It feels like a very niche thing because it's probably going to be, you know, the little bits that somebody used a Robinhood or something to get that they can get access to and transfer over to the government. So it just seems like a lot of small amounts, which I guess adds up over time, and it's better to do something with. But I'm with you. It's a little bit odd.
Yeah. So we'll see. How much, if any, they end up actually holding on their balance sheet. I don't know if we have to wait 3 years from now in order to see that, or if it's like retroactive and we can start seeing that a little bit sooner. But I guess we'll see. Also, in more federal news, the Genius Act failed to advance in the Senate, which is super unfortunate. So we first discussed the Genius Act back in February. It was meant to provide more specifically clear regulation for stablecoins. So it defined stablecoins as digital assets that were pegged to the US dollar, established licensing and reserve requirements for issuers, basically, you know, 1-to-1. I mean, like if you're going to issue a stablecoin, you need to have it backed with like dollar or dollar equivalents. It applied federal rules for issuers that issued above $10 billion worth of assets, and then state rules for anything below 10 billion, just so they knew kind of where their jurisdiction was for stablecoin issuers. And then overall was just, you know, designed to continue kind of the dollar kind of supremacy worldwide, right? Like it's really good for the US to have stablecoins, US stablecoins specifically, proliferate, because stablecoin issuers are holding US Treasury bills and, you know, US dollars at the end of the day. So it is good for the US dollar, but it failed, which is super unfortunate. It was a little bit unexpected because this bill overall was a pretty bipartisan and collaborative bill. Looking into some of the things that people were saying, I guess there was like nearly 80 amendments that were made to the bill throughout its life cycle and like months of negotiations and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty sad. I'm sure that we'll see some iteration of this in the future because it's such an important act to come through. Is like this and kind of a just market reserve bill in general. Were two things that were promised that we would get from the Trump administration. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said in his tweet, face a simple choice: either step up and lead or watch digital asset innovation move offshore.
It's something I'm pretty confident. I feel like we're going to see more. We're going to see more stuff go through the pipeline and more bills go through the House and Senate. It is a little disheartening that it seems like we have the same conversation over and over, right? We have to do something. We have to provide clarity. We have to provide direction for innovation in the states, or people are going to leave. And so it's one of those things of how many times can we, say this before projects start truly leaving and truly taking ingenuity and technological advancement across the shore. Hopefully we see it within this year, within this administration, while we have this opportunity. But it is a little disheartening when you see these things come about.
Yeah, I'm sure that we'll see another version of this come about, hopefully in the near future. But yeah, I mean, it's what we've been seeing for years now, right? With this innovation moving offshore because you don't have the clarity in the US. And, like Tether, for example, right? They're not really in the US. They're still benefiting in the US dollar because it's still, they still own a bunch of US treasuries and all that stuff. So it still like benefits it, but just the fact that it is not like onshore, it gets a little dicey, right? Tether's been, a pretty good actor, I think, in the space. But when you look at like FTX is like the more extreme example of like somebody that wasn't really able to operate inshore and onshore. And then, look at what kind of they did because they didn't have as much oversight. You could see that from a stablecoin issuer in the future. So yeah, we want the clarity and, we want people to be protected. We need these types of bills in order for that to happen.
We want more stable coins. We want some good stable coins, guys, in the States.
Let's get some stable coins on Bitcoin also while we're at it.
Seriously. It's the real conversation. I love it.
Yeah. In Bitcoin news, Strike announced Strike lending. We talked about this last week, that it was probably going to be happening this week, and it did. So they launched a Strike lending, which is kind of an over collateralized Bitcoin backed loans. So just some high level things. So their product, it starts at 12% APR for a 1-year loan. There's another product that is like a 13% loan for payment at maturity. Loan amounts start at $10,000 for businesses, $75,000 for individuals, goes up to $2 million and then more. No credit check is required. They're sort of positioning this as a way to continue benefiting from Bitcoin's upside. Obviously, like never sell your Bitcoin, right? We talk about that a lot with Granite. So you can continue, watching Bitcoin rise and not having to sell. But, there's so many, I've already listed a lot of things that like aren't very attractive, I guess. 12% APR is not great. When you compare it to pretty much anything in DeFi, right? DeFi loans typically are around like 5 to 6%. It's also it's only available in US, and it's also not available in many states. So no California, no New York. It has already been rolling out. In a follow-up video that Jack, the CEO, posted, he said that funds will be rehypothecated. One of their biggest borrowers is NYDIG. And I don't know, man, it's just like we both come from, this Bitcoin lending, time from a few years ago, and seeing all the Bitcoin companies that were around at that time collapsing due to, this lack of transparency and this endless rehypothecation and all this stuff. And it feels like another company doing that, and like not really embodying like the ethos of Bitcoin's decentralization and transparency. And you're trusting, I have no reason to not trust Strike or Jack Mallers. They've obviously done like a lot of good things in the space, but like, it's just don't trust verify, right? Like you can't verify this product.
Absolutely.
And I don't like that.
Absolutely. If something like rehypothecation doesn't give you some sort of pause in 2025 after going through what this industry went through, then you're not doing enough research. Like you're not doing enough to have due diligence for yourself, and you have to. You really have to. Like you said, there's no reason not to trust Jack and what they're building, and it's going to help certain people who it makes sense for. But at the same time, going through cycles here and trying to see products leave the other end of stealth mode, or whatever you want to call it, to really bring something new. I don't want to be spicy or anything, but I feel like it's missing the mark at this stage. It can grow into something great, but like at this stage, I'm not going to be the first person to jump in line to do anything.
Yeah, even, when you look at like centralized companies, right? Even somebody like a Coinbase announced crypto loans this year as well, but they're partnering with Morpho, which is like a DeFi product. So you can get loans through even like a Coinbase for that 5 to 6% kind of range. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know who this is for. It's not for Bitcoiners.
No. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I agree with you.
I wish them the best. I hope that they are successful. Yeah. But it's just not for me.
More than anything in the world, I hope they're successful and everything goes correct, and like no more like industry-wide lending issues, please.
Yeah.
But I've
been there, done that.
Yeah.
Not interested in doing it again.
I'm gonna focus those interests of mine towards these other decentralized platforms and protocols.
Yeah. Well, in good news to end it on, want to talk about Stacks Cap-3 that was announced. So that is happening in less than a week. It's happening on Thursday, May 15th. 2,000 additional Bitcoin will be eligible to be pegged in. My prediction is that 1 week from now, when we go on next week's Good for Bitcoin, Stacks will have flipped both Liquid and Lightning in total native Bitcoin pegged into the system. That's my prediction.
I love it. I love that prediction. Also, the cap comes right after Mother's Day. I don't know, purposeful? Should we all be, explaining SBTC a little bit more this weekend to our mothers?
Well, first I need to get my mom to buy Bitcoin, and then I need to get her to bridge her Bitcoin.
She needs to get on Leather this weekend, Brandon. What are we doing?
So Sunday we'll buy it.
Good.
And then Thursday we'll bridge it. That's the goal. We'll get there.
That's the plan for all of us.
Yeah. Well, I think that about wraps it up for the week. Another happy birthday to Kate. We'll see her next week. And lots of stuff to look forward to in the Stacks ecosystem. We got the cap coming next week. The Zeely stuff that we've been talking about a lot coming very, very soon. Some more stuff that we can't talk about yet coming. Just a lot to look forward to. So
and events. So if anybody in the community or anybody listening is interested in the Stacks ecosystem, we have people at Consensus in Toronto next week. We have Kyle from Stacks Asia is going to be there from the ecosystem. The ecosystem has activations all week in Vegas. So come out, like jump in, join in, ask questions. I can't wait to see everybody.
Totally. I do want to give one final call to action as well. If you are listening either live or listening after the fact on whatever your favorite podcast app is, please go to like Spotify or Apple Music or wherever, you know, you're listening to this and give us a rating. We got like a couple ratings a couple weeks ago, and that actually really helped with the show. It actually, like, after we got those ratings, like the numbers went up in terms of people listening. So thank you to whoever did that. But we need more. We need more people listening. But thank you also for the people that are tuning in live. We appreciate you as well. But yeah, I think that wraps it up for the week. Again, yeah, lots of stuff to look forward to. So we will see you next Friday. And yeah, have a great week, everybody. Thank you for listening. We record Good for Bitcoin live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on X. Please follow us at Trust Machines Co. if you would like to listen and engage with us live. Visit us at trustmachines.co for all the latest Bitcoin news. We'll see you next week.